Success Insight shares the stories of the people with passion and drive who make things happen in the world. Here's your host, Howard Fox.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the author series on the Success Insight podcast. Our guest today is Lee Matthew Goldberg. Lee is an award-winning novelist and screenwriter, and you may recall Lee first joined us on the podcast back in 2020 to chat about the novel The Ancestor. He returned earlier this year around May timeframe to chat about his dystopian thriller, Orange City, which, by the way, wonderful book, and I'm waiting for the next one. That's a whole other story.
I'm about to start writing it.
All right, thank you. All right.
Within weeks.
That's good to know. Okay, or else I would not have let you back on this podcast today.
Totally
but
fair.
Lee is returning to chat today about his newest work of fiction just published. It's a suspense and crime thriller called Stalker Stalked. And Lee, it is an absolute pleasure to have you back once again on now the author series on the Success Insight podcast.
I mean, as always, thanks so much for having me, Howard. This is always a blast to do.
Fantastic. Now, first thing out of my head is he's just written this interesting new suspense thriller. Where does this information come from? Where do these ideas come from? Because first we're in Alaska, then we're in heaven knows where, and now Stalker Stalked. And so how do you organize all this?
Yeah, I almost don't even know. It just kind of like comes out of me. But yeah, I think for myself and what I'm realizing with my career, I mean, I'm a thriller writer at heart and all my books have a thriller element, but I like to play with genres. So I like if it's going to move in, like for Orange City, where it was dystopian science fiction, for The Ancestor, where it was like historical and literary, like a pinch of supernatural. And my new one, Stalker Stalked, is as like straight up thriller, I think, as it can get. Like, literally the title explains exactly the book. It's a stalker stalked. Yeah, like what's a better title than that?
And I love how you just introduced it right at the very first sentence. The reader knows what he or she's getting into.
Yeah, I believe it's I'm being watched. I think
I'm being watched.
Yeah, I mean, we all are in a sense.
In some way, or and we're going to get into this, we're watching other people perhaps a little too closely, and and it's interesting. I'm curious, had you had this book inside you on a notepad and you decided, okay, I'm going to put away the other work and I'm going to now focus on this? How did that come about?
Yeah, this one was really fast. And the book, I believe the first draft, maybe it took me about 2 to 3 months. So it was a very fast, just, and then, the edits and selling it, like that took longer. But yeah, I had finished The Ancestor and that was a very long writing process. Big themes, writing about the gold rush, it was about death. It was a very heavy book. And I was thinking, I was like, I really just want to write like a perfect fun thriller kind of. And I'd been watching that show You on Netflix, which the books of it are great too, the Caroline Kepnes books. And I was like, yeah, I kind of want to write a thriller about a stalker. And I was like, what could be different? Like, what have I not seen? And I was like, well, what if the stalker also gets stalked? And then the whole book very easily just kind of downloaded from there. So this was probably the fastest from like idea to page that a book really came for me, which was fun. It was a fun book to write, even though she's a nutso person to be in their head.
Oh my God, I wouldn't even want to cross paths.
The thing though about writing a character like that is there's a freedom because she's so out there and crazy, anything goes. So you really could just have fun with somebody like her. And it's sad too, she has, she comes from a place where it's made her into that person.
Sure.
Her mom, her past, but taking that outside of it, she was a fun character to write because she'll do anything.
Of course. And she literally did do anything.
And she does. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a lover of garbage reality TV on the flip side. So it allowed me to like write my reality TV novel and, kind of go like, out there with it. Yeah, throw everything at the wall.
Okay, yeah, definitely that. And by the way, I will have to go back and check out you on Netflix, because I, in the age of COVID, I needed a
Yeah.
outlet. And so
There's 2 seasons, and the 3rd season I think is about to premiere, so it'd be a perfect time to like get into it. And the books are amazing too.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. I have to share with you, I may, in the spirit of full disclosure for anyone that cares, I have watched maybe a season here or there of reality TV, and one that I'm no longer proud to have watched.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say who that is, what that was about, but I'm not proud. I'm not a fan of reality TV because I recognized its manufactured chaos, outrage.
Totally.
And my rational mind just won't accept that. But reality TV can become an engrossing and captivating kind of a drug for people. They have to watch it.
Right. It not only is it a drug, but then all the reality people are on Instagram and everything else. And so it's very easy to just like feel like these people, honestly. Like my favorite show, it was always, which is reality TV, but it's like the best reality TV. I've always loved the show Survivor, and I've seen every episode in every season. And for a thriller writer, nothing is better, because it's literally people stabbing each other in the back episode after episode after episode. But there's people who like games. There's a gameplay aspect, there's the survival aspect, there's the athletic aspect. So that's like an upper echelon, I think, of reality TV. For this one, I watched some really awful show. Like it was a lot of like Real Housewives and that ilk of reality TV. And I got really addicted to it, honestly. Like I really got into it. I was embarrassed, but at the same time, I was always like, no, it's research. Like
you can do research. You're allowed.
There was an episode I saw of, it was the Real Housewives of New York, and a real person, she took off her leg. She was making a point, and she took off her leg and she threw it across a very, very nice restaurant to make her point. And I was like, that's perfect. Like, that's what I'm going for Stalker Stalked. Somebody who's so incensed that they would rip their artificial leg off and throw it across a room to make a point. So I feel like it was perfect. I learned a lot from garbage reality.
Oh my God. Do you find in the reality genre that I don't know, I hate to use the term take ownership, but we really feel like this character is ours, and I care everything about them?
Totally. Because, you watch a movie, it's an hour and a half to 2 hours where you're invested in that character, but it's not real. And the same with the TV series. You could love The Sopranos and Breaking Bad, and it's not real. With reality TV, these are real people. Yeah, they're playing up for the cameras and some things are engineered, but they're basically real people acting as themselves, a heightened version of themselves. So I think it's very easy for people watching to get to, and I think that's why a lot of them are so successful. And look, you can even look at this, and I touch on it so briefly in the book because I did not want to make the book about that, but we had a reality TV president that would have not been president if not for his reality TV show. And it was the window that he used to get into that. And that's insane. I mean, you had somebody like Ronald Reagan that was an actor, and that was a window, but he was the stupid apprentice, and then he's president. And so I was writing the book, he was still president, unfortunately, at that time. And that heightened it too, because the stakes were bigger than they ever were before. And it doesn't mean that that's not going to happen again.
Yeah. And the other aspect of the book, and it's one that, again, I don't know, guilty is just the wrong word, but you're the writer, you'll come up with the word for me.
Sure.
I can sit down with my smartphone and I can read articles. I can read a conversation right now that's going viral on LinkedIn, which is amazing because most people don't comment back and forth on LinkedIn. It's unheard of.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But Facebook to me is for my family, friends. Now there's groups,
Mm-hmm.
but Instagram, I actually like Instagram because, but there I have invested in people that I may never meet.
Right.
And there's a couple that one, it happens to be, I don't know, she's not an A-list movie star, but she openly shares aspects of her life. And she's actually really good, really funny. She and her partner, Kate Micucci, go by this Garfunkel and Oates, and they are the raunchy, hilarious, they're hilarious, but she shares aspects of her life on Instagram, and I find I really look forward to it.
Yeah, and you feel like you know her a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, that's totally, and something like that, it sounds for her, it's like it's very harmless. She's really just being funny and, like giving back to people on it. But, you have like my character who really just obsesses over this reality TV star, and she has obsessive tendencies to begin with.
Right.
So it's not a huge surprise that she, shifts to this. But this woman it's aspirational. It's everything that she wants to be, that she knows she's not. And, there's some probably sexual tension between it, but it's not really about that. Like it's not about her wanting physically to be with the person. She really just aspires this lifestyle that she doesn't have, and it makes her feel better to think that this person could potentially be in her life and make her own life better. And I think there's a lot of people out there, unfortunately, that get in that situation with somebody on Instagram or something like that. They don't go to the lengths that Lexi goes to.
Right.
Hopefully they're not.
Hopefully not.
Yeah. But they still stalk these people and do it in a way now that's very acceptable. Like we're all stalking each other on Instagram, technically.
I think you are spot on. We are stalking people.
It's a form of stalking. It's an acceptable one because we allow these people into our lives, so you're being stalked. And it's something I wrestle with too. Like the more books I have, the more readers I'll have. How much do I want to allow strangers into my life and to comment? I was just dealing with this person. This is an aside, and somebody trashed the book on like another level and kept commenting and bringing other people into their comments. It just went on and on for days and days and days. And I basically told the person, I was like, you're obsessed with me and you're stalking. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And you hate something so much that secretly you love it. And you hate that you love it. And it made me feel better to say that, just because like I usually don't interact with somebody like that, but I just kind of had to end it. It was just getting a little too much. It was on Goodreads, so it was like public kind of, but it's a form of stalking, honestly.
And I think that what you've just described is it's indicative of the problems we have in society as social media and other people's stories, what other people have versus what I have. It's just not fair that they have this and I don't have it. How do I get more of it? We're so obsessed with that in social media, just, it's unfiltered, it's unchecked. And I think it's continuing to get worse and worse and worse.
Worse. Yeah. Worse.
And what I find though is, I like this episode, and I've begun to do it rather late in life, or rather late in my podcast history, is I'll share this episode out from, it'll go from Buzzsprout to Spotify and Spotify has this real easy link into Instagram. So now the episodes.
That's good to know. I didn't know that. That's great.
Well, feel free to do that.
I will.
But it's so easy. And I think for myself, I want the recognition. I want of what I've done. You want the recognition of what you've done. And,
totally.
And unfortunately too, like you've just said, it opens us up not to the people who are wishing us best, enjoyed the book, and perhaps can write a review, maybe give their thoughts, what they like, maybe it's aspects they didn't like, and that's fair. But there are individuals out there that it becomes their life. Like Lexi, she's totally absorbed in this individual who she wants to be, and it's downright dangerous.
Yeah, I think there's a twofold thing that happens, especially with social media. We get that dopamine rush when we get a like, when people are sharing whatever it is. And then it also makes you feel really bad about yourself because nobody's sharing the worst parts of their life. I mean, you do have, like a family member passes and it gets put up on Facebook. And, I think that's a good thing. It's a way for people to be connected to them if they don't live by it. But for the most part, you get a glossy sheen of somebody's life. And then you question your own, like, oh, these amazing things are happening to these people. Like, is it happening to me? So, we get the rush and then we're knocked back down. And it's this constant, ping pong almost that happens with social media. And, looking into, the other character's life in Stalker Stalked, Magnolia, her life is not great. She puts these best things, but her life is a disaster at the same time. And she's miserable and she's a horrible person. So everything that Lexi aspires to is not real technically. And that, I think, is really where the danger comes in. You think these people that you stalk on social media, but you do not know them at all. And I think that's the illusion that people don't necessarily realize almost.
Sure. I have to share, as I was reading the book, in a ways, it's also a whodunit. It's left for us to guess who is the stalker, and from the way my head's working, is there really a stalker? Because she is the consummate pill popper, these little blue pills.
She's the unreliable narrator. Like, nobody's more unreliable than her because she doesn't know what the hell's going on. She's a pharma rep and she's popping her own little blue pills constantly. So she exists in this like fugue state. And, that's a trope that's been done a lot in thrillers, Girl on the Train and Gone Girl, but it really works. And it works especially in this sense because, I wanted people to think like maybe it is on her head and that's the twist. And I wanted it to have enough twists that I don't think nobody yet has guessed the exact twist that it is. So that's made me happy. Nobody's guessed like who that stalker is. So that I was surprised, that I came up with it and that it worked. Because writing a mystery, I think, is harder than writing a thriller. Everything has to fit at the exact right place. So that was the big challenge with Stalker Stalked,
Sure.
Like the mystery aspect of it. Yeah.
So this individual aside, what's been the reaction to the book so far?
Oh, the book is getting like phenomenal reaction. I mean, it just came out on Friday. Yeah, it's been getting really good press so far and really good reactions. But I knew with this one, when somebody hates it, it's a little bit of an offensive book. The character's offensive. She's, so the people who dislike it are it's somebody who she's too much for. She swears too much. She's too much sex. She's too out there. That's the type of person. And honestly, those type of people shouldn't read my books anyway. Like, if they've read another one of my books, I like to push the envelope in terms of that too. So this is me pushing the envelope as much as possible. The one thing I really was nervous about, because I was writing in the voice of a female character, I didn't want to get a pushback to be like, oh, why is this guy writing about a girl and he didn't get it right? And, so that hasn't, been in the conversation. So that's made me happy. And I did give this book only to females to read early drafts because and she was toned down from the first draft, definitely. And it was really me making sure that it was believable that, I was writing about a 30-year-old woman.
Okay. Now, with this book, there is the paperback version, the Kindle version, and something that I've got to go back and look at your author page, but I don't recall, and it might be there, but I don't recall audio versions of your books.
So with all my other books, except for the Mentor, and that's because of St. Martin's, but anyway, all of my other books, I have an audio company now that did them all. They just came out later. So like the Ancestor, the narrator is so perfect that did it. grizzled, like he sounds like Anthony Hopkins in Legends of the Fall. Like he couldn't have done a better job. So Stalker Stalked was the first one I got to do day and date. So the audio came out the same day as everything else. And the audio is killing it on Amazon right now. It's way outselling the paperback and the Kindle. And so yeah. And I think the woman who did the narration, I think just did a fantastic job.
Now, did you get to choose the narrator? Okay.
Yeah, I got a few samples of a few people, and then that narrator too, the timing worked perfect, but she just did a really, really good job. I haven't listened to the whole thing yet. I'm not an audio person, but I will eventually. And from what I've heard, yeah, it sounds fantastic. And it's almost like a different creation as an audiobook. Like I almost don't recognize it. It's like somebody else wrote it and I just get to like enjoy it as a book.
Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's been cool. Now I appreciate your publicist did send me the electronic version, and that's what I was reading beforehand. But today, even before, I did pick up the audio version because,
oh, good.
Sometimes it's nice. Just I'm in the car driving and I just want to put it.
This one, it was like, it got crunch time, and a few weeks ago I had no more paperbacks, and I'm waiting on a huge shipment to like get them out. I think actually when I go home tomorrow there'll be a bunch. But yeah, the audio, I think it'll be a whole different experience. I think Stalker Stalked 2 is the kind of book you could read twice too and notice a lot of things you maybe didn't notice the first time, especially about her and her character, and like emphasizing with her.
Okay.
Empathizing. Yeah. Empathizing.
I'm keeping that in. I'm not going to edit this out, by the way.
Keep it. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe emphasizing her as well more.
There you go.
Yeah. But yeah.
So I don't know if we chatted about this with the Ancestor or Orange City, but this was a kind of an interesting book cover. What's your process that you go into or get into when it comes to crafting this cover? Because in a lot of ways, that cover, especially online or in a bookstore, that draws us in.
Yeah. So with all three of those, the publishers, the Ancestor was the same publisher, Orange City was a different publisher. All due respect, my publisher, they work with amazing cover designers and all their covers are really cool. But for each one, they asked me like, what are you looking for? So the Ancestor, originally, I wanted like the shadow of a person under ice. And they did a design, and the designer was like, it's not quite working. So the designer was like, what if we just did a hand? And he sent it to me and it was perfect. Orange City, they sent about 3 different covers and I chose one. All were amazing, but that one was the most orange, and that was how I chose it. And Stalker Stalked was really, the designer was like, what are you looking for? And I was like, I want pop art on crack.
Okay.
Like a pop art. Who's the painter?
Andy Warhol?
Name. Not Andy Warhol, but Andy Warhol was close. But there was another one. He did those like, it was like almost like a soap opera with the bubbles. Where they would have
I know who you're talking about.
And so I was like that, but on crack, basically. And that was the image. And originally the lips weren't red, and I was like, just give her red lips. That was the only note I had. So I've been lucky, even with the mentor when I was at St. Martin's, I told them kind of what I wanted and they came up with sort of a perfect thing.
Okay.
So all of mine, I feel like I've given enough, and then they've kind of piggybacked off of it, which I think kind of winds up creating the best covers. The author knows it better than anybody else, and the designer has the talent, and you just merge the two.
Sure. Now, way back when we were chatting about the Ancestor, we were, up to our necks in COVID. You've got
that was a rough time to put out a book.
Oh God, yes. So you're writing at home. You had the writing tree, which I will never forget. That's a part of my shtick these days.
Yeah, the writing goes nowhere. That I've had prior to COVID, and I will have always. Yeah.
How did you write this book, Stalker Stalked? I mean, and I know you're spending time outside of your home these days. You back and forth. But where did you write this book?
I think a good amount was written at the tree. I believe, if I remember correctly, we were going into winter when I wrote Stalker Stalked, and I wrote a lot in the main library in Midtown on 42nd Street, which has these huge frescoed ceilings, and it's a quiet, it's just an amazing place. And everybody there is creating. There's always like a CNN talking head who's doing his copy there, like, so you kind of feel the energy of people. And I think the frantic feel of that helped with Stalker Stalk. But yeah, some of it was written under the tree. And then I recently just finished the script version of it. So that I was also pretty much writing every day at my tree of that. And yeah, I finished that, I don't know, like 3 weeks ago, maybe.
So the script version, tell me more.
Yeah, so I think of any of my things, I think this one would make a perfect film. I wrote it first as a pilot, and I gave it to some people I know in the business, and they were like, it's really not going to work as a TV series. Write it as a script. And I was like, okay. And so I wrote it. I wrote it as a script, and then now I have a film agent that I didn't have when the Ancestor came out. But we already had a director that through a different podcast I mentioned. And he was like, yeah, send me the script.
That's fantastic.
We shall see. Yeah. But even if that doesn't work out with him, we'll go out with it a little bit. And I know the actress I want to play Lexi. Her name's Alexandra Daddario. So if you're out there,
Alexandra. Okay, we'll get
White Lotus. Yeah. But anybody would be great. But like writing the script, not the book, but the script, I had her in mind when I was writing it.
Well, that's good. That's good. You have folks in mind for that. And, it's this creative process that writers go through. And it's amazing to me because, I'm actually thinking about writing a book with one of my podcast guests. We've written a series. I'm going to turn the series into a book. Not just transcribe, edit, publish. That's it.
Yeah. They did that Welcome to Night Vale. That was originally a podcast, and then it became a book, or like Alice is Dead. It's really like popular now because podcasts are so popular. Yeah. It's like in the last, 5 years, it's just exploded.
It's amazing. And, we're up to, as I said, 382 this year.
It's fantastic.
It's like, whoa. So what's going to be next for you? I know this great book, you're going to kind of, do you take a step back? Do you be in the moment with the book's been published and it's available, it's going out? Do you relax, or are you like, okay, what's next?
Yeah. I'm always working on a bunch of things. So like the publicity, I have a bunch of publicity that I'm doing, but a good chunk of like the hard publicity is done. Like everything written, I've done. Now it's more the fun thing. It's like the podcasts and things like that. Those are enjoyable. So I have a bunch of those. We'll really try to, get the script out there, and that's sort of the next step. And yeah, so I'm gonna start the sequel to Orange City in the next couple weeks. Right now I'm at the beach, and so I'm taking a little bit,
all right,
to just enjoy myself and just hang out by the pool. But yeah, I'm gonna start, and so the sequel is called Lemon World.
Yeah.
So I have about a 30-page outline. So the whole thing is outlined. So I think it'll take me a lot less than. And then I finished another book that my agent is taking out very soon. So that'll be my focus. And that one's called The Great Gimmelmans. And it's about a family of Jewish bank robbers in the 1980s.
Oh, wow.
And I think it's my best. So I'm really, really excited. And I hope, we really find like a great publisher editor for that one. So yeah, those will keep me busy through the end of the year, I think.
Sounds good. Well, I guess we're going to be chatting at least 2 more times.
Yeah, I'm down. If you're down, I'm down.
I'm down. But I will say, when there's ever a face-to-face group book launch or script, or it's your book is on Netflix, I want the invite. I want the invite.
So my young adult series, my publisher is based in Vegas. So it's definitely the first two books came out this summer, and I'm finishing the third. So that'll be out probably sometime early next year. And I would love to go to Vegas and do like an in-person reading with them and meet them. I haven't met them yet. So it might happen.
That's fantastic. So you're going to be a little busy with the books. Anything else going on in the near future, or are you just going to continue to spend time between out on the shore and or the location where you're at? I didn't want anybody to stalk you by telling people where you're at.
I mean, I think I've already posted a picture, so like the stalking is gonna happen. Yeah, I mean, I live in New York City. I've taken like weekend breaks, but I needed a bigger break than that. And I had an opportunity. My friend was renting a room in a house. So yeah, it's this great house. There's a pool out in the Hamptons. It's so easy to go back and forth. It's 2 hours. So I'm spending like half the week out here and then half the week back in the city. And when I'm out here, I'm really gonna not be working a little bit. Like
that's good.
Yeah, I do have I've had an idea for a thriller that takes place in the Hamptons that I've wanted to write for a while. So I might wind up plotting it out here, like just getting inspired by it. So I'm leaving myself open while I'm out here. Like if I'm feeling the spirit and I want to kind of write about it, maybe just to like get the outline down. And it would be like a fun, sexy thriller set in the Hamptons about swingers, actually.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. Yeah. So Lee, if our listeners would like to learn more about you and your work, where are the best places for them to go?
Sure. So my website is my full name, leematthewgoldberg.com. You can find me on Twitter at Lee Matthew G or Lee Matthew Goldberg on Instagram. Those are probably the best places. Facebook, I'm kind of getting over. So like, yeah.
I am about ready to get over Facebook. I mean,
it's too much back and forth and talking and opinions. And I almost don't have the stomach for it anymore. Instagram is just like pictures and, it's just happier. And right now it's like, I think we need all the happy we can get.
We do. Most definitely do. Well, Lee, once again, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast, and thank you for taking the time, and thank Ben for reaching out.
Yeah. Shout out to my publicist, Ben Tanzer, who's fantastic. If you're looking for a publicist, check him out. And yeah, Howard, this is always a pleasure. And thanks so much for having me.
Sounds good. All right, folks, we have just been chatting with novelist Lee Matthew Goldberg. He is, so many award-winning books to his credit. He's a screenwriter. We've had him on a couple podcasts early on, and today he's returned to chat about his newest book, just published is it hard and soft cover or just soft cover?
Not hard, yeah.
All right, so soft cover, Kindle, and also on Audible, which I'm looking forward to listening to.
I'm curious. Let me know what you think.
I will do that. And really do check out Lee's work. We'll provide backlinks to his website, leematthewgoldberg.com, as well as his Twitter and his Instagram sites as well. We hope you enjoyed today's podcast on our author series on Success Insight. And do let us know what you think. You can find us on successinsightpodcast.com, as well as on Facebook and LinkedIn, Success Insight Podcast. We are on almost all of the major podcasting platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. Lee, we're also on Audible now, by the way.
Ooh,
that's pretty good.
Mazel.
And we are on the Pandora, iHeartRadio, as well as on Spotify, where we actually have all of our authors on a single playlist. So you'll be able to check out Lee and his books. Again, the Ancestor and Orange City are those episodes as well, but especially his newest book, Stalker Stalked. That'll be out there as well. And we really want to hear what you think. So likes, comments, we want to hear about it. And enjoy, the coming fall season and the holidays coming up. They're coming up so fast. And so what a great time to just kind of sit back and enjoy a book. And this is the perfect book for you to do that. Folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there, have a phenomenal day. Take care of yourselves, your family, practice social distancing if it makes sense, wear that mask if it makes sense. But above all, just be good, be kind, and take care of those around you, take care of the community. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Success Insight Podcast and the Author Series.
Success Insight is a production of Fox Coaching and First Story Strategies. Find us online, successinsightpodcast.com.